Hello and welcome back to some more J-dramas. I'm gonna go with the last format, which means it might be a longer video, but I just think it's better to talk about TV series when you watch them, since again there is usually it takes much longer to fully watch them compared to movies. But I think it's a good thing. The first one will be the first one we'll be talking about is a Japanese drama called Siren, or Siren in Romanji. It was pretty good. It's a crime thriller drama, basically. It does feel like, those shows you see where it's usually one season only, but it's usually like one perp or one criminal throughout the episode. And you have like the buddy system for the two main characters, and it was really fun for me. I guess the main characters would be the two leads and the main criminal. The main criminal was Nano. I don't know if I can pronounce her actress's name right. I don't know why she doesn't have a last name, but I guess that's just how she goes by. I have seen her before. She has a very distinctive look, so it's very easy to point her out. She was in Legal V. I don't think I mentioned her. She was a side character in that. And I seen her in BG. She kind of brings the same energy. She has like this. I know this sounds cringy, but it's almost like a sexy aura. I don't know why. It just suits her appearance, I guess, and she usually plays that sort of character. I think it's the eyes. She has very sharp eyes. The female lead, Fumino Kimura, I didn't actually recognize her, but she was in 99.9 season 2. She was the female lead there, and I really liked her. And she was in something else, I think. She was in A Life of Love, which I didn't talk about, but it was a Kimura Takia doctor series. She was like a super nurse side character, which was pretty good. Is there more? I thought there was like one more, but no. I think her performance was pretty strong. Out of the three, she was my least favorite, but she was still, which I think is natural because I think she had probably the least amount of time. Kind of. I don't know. You'd have to measure it. It's either her or Nano. But she was fine. She filled her role really good. And we have Tori Matsuzaka, who, I don't know, this is my first time seeing him. He kind of looks like a younger, whoever's Shota's actor from Anata no Bandesu. But he was by far my favorite character. I really loved his character. And again, it's kind of a cat and mouse game between the cops and the serial killer. It's very well done. It does. I've been saying, like, when I was watching it, man, this would be a good book, and it is. It's a manga apparently, with the same name, Siren. I looked up some information after, but there's not much. So I'm guessing outside of Japan it wasn't too famous, because I haven't even seen any scans of it. But it must have been popular enough to spawn a television show. But yeah, this has everything. This has some pretty good action sequences, like not something you'd expect from a police drama, like actual like hand-to-hand combat, which was kind of cool. The comedy was great. There's some great side characters. Like then there's the annoying rival cop guy. There's always one in like police dramas, and even though you don't like him fully, I kind of like this guy. He filled his role good. Sayaka Yamaguchi was a good female side character. I thought she was very funny. And the two, Ai and Rena, Hinako, Sano, and Anna Iriyama were like, they brought a lot of comedy, and they were adorable. So I think it was a pretty great cast, and I just had a blast watching it. Intense moments, fun moments, sad moments. Again, I really liked the main male leads character arc, and yeah, solid crime drama. And the twist is good, kind of. I kind of predicted it, but it takes you on a bit of a ride, especially the last episode. I thought my brain was gonna explode for a minute until they actually explained something, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going crazy. But yeah, it's very fun and very unique. I think, again, Nano, her character was a very unique killer, and that's what you kind of need. You need if you are gonna do a series where where there's one criminal for this season, you need to have a very strong, but you need a very interesting character, interesting in their kills, interesting in their personality. And Nano definitely had an interesting backstory, something that I personally have not seen yet in a top story, though to be fair, I haven't watched too many, at least top TV shows, so maybe it has been taken, but it was very fun watch, and I would recommend it. It's only 9 episodes, 45 minutes each. The first episode is an hour and 30, because sometimes the first episodes of J-dramas are extended just to catch your attention, which might be I think the first episode didn't need to be extended, to be honest. It kind of felt like 2 episodes in one, and maybe they actually did that because 9's kind of an odd number. I wouldn't have mind them just split it up and have normal length episodes, but that's barely a criticism. I think this is definitely worth watching if you are into cop stuff. Cop stuff with like action and stuff, sort of more of a thriller than and it is still a mystery, I guess. Mysteries about Nano's character. So yeah, overall, would approve. Just a quick note, I forgot, we gotta talk about the music for every series, because I am becoming a music man, and I really do appreciate some songs. The opening was good. It wasn't a banger like Anata no Bandesu, like the modern banger, but it definitely grew on me. I mean, it was a very high bar to top, but it was pretty good. I much prefer that over title card with just random instrumental, well, not random, but instrumental music for like 10-15 seconds. I do prefer an actual opening, and the rest of the music in the series was fine, nothing too memorable. I think I forgot to give it a rating too. I'll give it around an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really, really fun. I can't stress that, like, again, the whole main villain was very well done. I thought her character was very interesting, and again, it was mixed with some lovey-dovey moments, some very tense moment, and the humor really got me. I think like one of my favorite scenes was like the main male lead was like doing an undercover investigation, and in like into a brothel, and like he didn't know what he was ordering, so he ordered 2 girls at once, and that whole scene was just hilarious. They did something really cool where when they were getting like really touchy feeling with him, the music would actually speed up, like to go along with his heartbeat, and I thought that was pretty funny. And they brought those 2 characters back throughout the series. I did mention them, right? A and Rena. They were hilarious. So yeah, great series. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so for this one, it's sort of a special case because I've actually dropped this drama, but I still think it's worth mentioning. I don't know, I guess it is. And you might be and personally, if you know me a bit more, I really dislike dropping stuff, even if they're bad. Once I start something, I like to be very committed to it. So I usually don't drop stuff, and I'm not dropping this drama, which is Good Partner, a law drama, a business law drama, which I thought was pretty interesting because we had a criminal law drama, we had a more general one with Legal V, and then a business focused one could have been pretty cool. I'm just dropping it because of the subbing. Now, I've talked about bad subbing in the past. This time was a new type of bad, which I just couldn't get over. Like, if they do typos and stuff, that's fine, it's okay. But it was just the timing was really bad for these subs, If you don't know, like obviously subbing the content's one thing, but then timing refers to making sure the subs pop up when at the right time when the person's speaking. It's an important job, and this is like one of the times where it really ruined the watching experience, because my brain was exploding trying to do it. Sometimes this subbing was like 30 seconds ahead, sometimes it was behind, and it just turns into an unwatchable mess. So even if this could have been good, which I did think, I was enjoying my time. I've watched 5 episodes out of 9. Episode 1 and 2 were fine, but episode 3 to 5 were just horribly timed, and I stopped midway. Episode 5 because I didn't have the power to handle it. I don't know, maybe if you're super big brain and you can handle it, then it's fine. But from what I saw, it was pretty good. I was expecting something closer to like Lido High, which is where the main characters are also like not the best characters, like morally good, like obviously, because as business lawyers they're gonna be protecting the corporation stuff. But from what I've seen, they had a variety of topics, which is pretty cool per episode. Like one was facing against a bigger business law firm because they are relatively small. Another was like Yakuza people ruining a business. One was, episode 5 was sexual assault in the workplace. So there's a lot of topics. So I thought it would have been a pretty good stuff. It is starring Yutaka Takenouchi, if I'm saying that right, as the main star, and I really like him. I did talk about him in Beach Boys. He was Keito in Beach Boys. He's also Shinji as a co-star, or a side character named Shinji in Long Vacation. So I think he's a really cool actor. I'm tempted to put him on the scale where I will watch a drama just because he's in it, like I do with Kimura Takia and see, now his name's not coming to me, but once you see him, Terugawa, something closer to that. But I think I need to see a bit more, especially since I didn't finish this. But he was definitely my highlight of the show. He very much played his character. I think the difference in this one compared to the other law ones was in each of the law one, the main character was like super eccentric, like a super lawyer. Like they had their oddities and maybe not the best work habits, but they were like very unique in a sense. In this one, he wasn't like a super lawyer. I mean, he was smart and he did his job well. Like he was crafty, but he didn't give the same air as the Lido V lead or the 99 lead, where they're like really good at law, but they're also really weird. He was just almost an average guy, which made him more relatable. I think his sidekick, the new lawyer, apparently played by Kento Kaku, who I do not know, was super annoying. Which is the point, I guess. But yeah, I didn't like him. The main female lead, Isuka Matsuyuki, who I also don't think I know, was pretty good. A big plot of the series was that those two were divorced, and there's drama with the child and stuff. It's good. It's a little cheesy, and I'm saying this as someone who likes the cheese, because I'm like almost 90% sure that they're probably gonna get back together by the end of it. But yeah, it was a good series. Like just from what I've watched, I give it a 6 out of 10. Again, a lot of that is just being influenced by my anger of the subs and some annoying aspects and cheesy aspects, but I do think, again, Yutaka played a very, very strong lead, and I thought if it kept up this interesting plot for each episode, it would have been a pretty good series, probably elevated to a 7, but I just can't handle the subs, so I'm sorry for that. Music-wise, the music was actually pretty dope. The opening was just the boring title card plus instrumental, but it had like cute miniatures, so I don't hate it as much. But yeah, that was this won't count. I'll do 3 more dramas. Just wanted to mention it. I'll probably do another law drama since this was supposed to be on my law fix for a while, but it didn't work out. But yeah, thanks, good partner. Maybe one day. I mean, it's it's from 2016, so I don't know why anyone would sub it at this point. But if it does get a new sub, I'd be willing to come back to it. For the next drama, we will be talking about 2010's The Golden Piggy, which is such a great name, or otherwise known as Ogen no Buta. This was pretty good. I think I thoroughly enjoyed it. 9 episodes. It's basically about the Board of Audit and which their job, at least, well, it's about the Board of Audit, but specifically the investigation team, where they basically investigate. Of course, a train happens as soon as I turn on recording. It's like I'm literally tourist. We'll let it pass. That's super annoying. But one takes only. We never do second takes, so gonna have to endure it. Yeah, but it's basically the job of the Board of Auditors to investigate government officials or any other party that is suspected of misusing the taxes. So it's a pretty unique plot. Like, I haven't heard of anything. I didn't know about the Board of Audit. I'm guessing most governments do have them. I really like the beginning of there's like a disclaimer. It's like, this doesn't reflect this isn't based on any real events, but it could be happening, which really makes you think. I kind of like that. Opening wise, because I always like to comment on the music. I think no epic opening, but it's better than just a title card. It's one of those openings where they have like this epic speech of what the Board of Audit does with like epic background music, so that's good, even though I do prefer some banger song. It's a good tone to set. The ending song was nice too. So like the basic plot is that the Board of Audit, while it's like a newly formed thing, it might not be newly formed, but it's newer formed. One of the officials in charge of it, there's like 3, hires an ex-convict on parole, which at least in Japanese society, if you are on parole, you cannot be a civil servant, so it's sort of an illegal thing. But the ex-convict, which is the main character, the main female lead, Ryoko Shinohara, or Shinko in the drama, she was a swindler. So basically the official hired her because she was good at like stealing people's money by telling lies, so she would be good at like sniffing out the government officials' lies. So he was like going for a super aggressive tactic to clean out the government. And it's a pretty good episodic show, basically highlighting different institutions that may or may not be misusing the taxes. They go over people using the government money on old people's homes. They go over hospitals, police forces, rural villages, and highlighting how even the Board of Audit itself is sometimes corrupt, sometimes saving people who are important to society. And then there's always the question of, yes, these people are skimming some money off the taxes, but like they're also important to society, so is it like worth risking like exposing them when they help move forward Japan? Like, that was a pretty common topic. I think it was most prevalent during like the super researcher who was like the best top researcher in Japan that might be skimming some stuff, but like she's literally like leading the way to make a better Japan. So it's like tough calls like that, which I think was cool. I think in casting wise, then Ryoko Shinohara was the main character of the show, female lead. She was really good. I really enjoyed her performance, and I really want to see her in other dramas. She just had some really good energy. Very cool. And I know I use cool a lot, but this she has that cool aura I usually don't see. Well, I don't want to say don't see. I guess I don't really watch shows with like I mean, there's usually a female lead and a male lead, but it's usually a main lead is usually given to the male. So she really had a strong impact. But that being said, and she could probably carry the show. But even then, I think the supporting cast was actually very good too. The only person I've seen before is Masaki Okada, otherwise known as Kuro, in the drama. I've mentioned him in the villain SIW, which was that really critically acclaimed in Japan movie. And I talked about him in Little Giants, which is another SIW on J dramas. I think that might have been the second or first one. No, it has to be second because first one is Kimura Takia. He was also in Little High too, but that was a while ago, so I don't remember his performance. What I know him for, he's really good at being either really edgy or annoying. Like both in Villain and Little Giants. Like while I didn't really like his character, he did a great job at being super edgy. And this time he was playing like an innocent, the innocent rookie who is all about justice and stuff. And he played it pretty well. He did have a moment where he was super annoying. I don't know, he just has a really good facial expression for that. So, yeah, he was probably my least favorite out of the four. I mean, I guess there's technically 5 main characters, but I think the 5th one doesn't matter as much. I consider it like the main cast 4 characters, but he was good. Another one was Yo Ozumi or Kadomatsu. He was probably my favorite male lead. He had some great chemistry with Ryoko, and I really liked them. I mean, it's not really romance, but there's 2 kind of ships you could go with Masaki and Ryoko, or Kadomatsu and Ryoko, and I just really enjoyed those 2 better. And it almost seemed for a moment that by the end, the other pair that I didn't like happened, but I mean, I won't spoil anything, but I thought they were super great on screen. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking something out from him too. And then there's Kenta Kiritani, who played Tetsuo Kaneda. He was good. He was a solid guy. He didn't stand out too much, but he was fun to be around, and he played a good buddy role with Kadomatsu. So the casting was strong. I mean, the villains were fine. I think, and the episodic nature of it was cool. Like Ryoko, different things every time, different messages, same punchlines every time. In most J-dramas like this, episodic sort of thing, they have their own little catchphrase to end up the episode. Ryoko's was like, please return our money, or please return the money to the golden piggy, which is, I guess, does all the taxes. And it's pretty cool. I think for me personally, it sort of died down for me a little by the end of it. Like the last 2 episodes were the finale arc. While it was like probably the biggest in scale and it was epic in that way, just felt like a lot of things happened that didn't have enough build up. Like some characters changed positions. Not the characters I mentioned, well, kind of, but like some of the bad guys turned a new leaf and some of the good guys maybe weren't so good, but there just wasn't enough foreshadowing, in my opinion, for it to like seem good. It was just kind of like, oh, that happened, but I really wish they just kind of hinted at some changes, especially like Train. You break my heart every time. But especially like the bad guy turning a new leaf. It's just like you could have easily just showed like a couple second clips. It's like, wow, even though these guys really are getting those taxes back, even with a bunch of other governments trying to cover for them, it's like, I don't know, just a little more of that. It was also like super dramatic. Like the show in general, while it is serious, it has a really a fun energy to it. It was just like really down and really dramatic, which is fine. But I don't know. It just didn't feel as a finale supposed to really give you a bang, and maybe it served a bang for other people. But for me personally, I wasn't too like. Again, I just think the mood shifted way too much for me to feel too invested. And again, I'm somebody who invests emotionally very easily into a show. Also, they were really trying to ship, there's so many signs with Masaki going with Ryoko, and I was like, no, don't do it. Give it to Yo, he's the best boy. But yeah, it's still a pretty great show, honestly. And again, 9 episodes, it's not bad, and I would recommend it. It's a unique, well, I guess the episodic nature and the show, even though it is sort of a unique topic, it's not exactly unique in its feel. It feels very similar to like lawyer shows, or yeah, I don't know, police shows, episodic ones with different cases every episode. It's sort of the same feel, but I very much enjoy that feel, so it's fine with me. It's also pretty highly rated TV rating wise, so yeah, a lot to it. But to take away from it, I really do want to see more with Ryoko Shinohara. I thought she was really strong. She had like the Kimura Takia energy for me, but I need to see more. So I'll probably check her out in the future. At least see her as more dramas with her leading anyways. But yeah, thanks for watching. I think I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. It was fun. Again, maybe slow a little bit at the end, but good enough for me to wholeheartedly recommend. For the next drama, we will be talking about Innocence, Fight Against False Charges. This is like the law drama I chose to kind of replace Good Partners, though it is completely different. It is a criminal drama focusing again on the high conviction rate of Japan. So I guess it's most comparable to 99.9, but it does, like, okay, a lot of law shows / hospital shows have this episodic feeling that they all feel pretty similar, especially since they are Japanese, they do tend to focus on a lot of similar themes. But this one, again, like most, has its own identity, which is impressive. I was feeling like maybe one of them would get stale eventually, but we're still pitching them good, I guess, because this was pretty impressive. So 10 episode run, came out 2019, and I really enjoyed this one. So I guess in comparison to 99, it's comedic but less like, it's almost like mellow comedic, if that made sense. 99, not this one. Like, all the characters are super, like, there's a lot of puns in that one, and the main character is like a super eccentric, while the main character here, played by Kentaro Sakaguchi, is like sort of antisocial, more of a most characters I like usually are cool. He's more of the cutesy type, but he's definitely good. Then you have the female lead, Haruna Kawaguchi. She's, again, a lot of pairings for law shows is there's like the unique main guy or main girl who's like super good at law. Then you have like sort of the new person in law, again usually the opposite gender of the main character, who's new at law and doesn't really agree with the methods, but like slowly starts to realize how talented the other person is and develops as a character. So like, this girl was pretty annoying, but I grew to like her. She's probably my favorite. She might be my favorite character. The rest of the cast was pretty good. The only characters I've seen before, or at least talked about, I think, maybe I'm missing some, is Shuri, who was in Blackpink. I liked her character in Blackpink, but she had like she's literally a non-character. She didn't have much development, while in this one she's definitely a much, she feels like a real character, if that makes sense. So yeah, great chemistry. Also, there's Teta Sugimoto, who was actually in Good Partner, so kind of surprised to see him again, though he was much better in this. Then, well, to be fair, I didn't finish Good Partner, so I can't completely make a good judgment, but I much more enjoyed him in this. So then this one focuses on false convictions, specifically the main character only takes false conviction charges, or tries to, I guess. And I guess in motivational wise, he's very similar to the 99 guy. Like, his character itself is completely different, like I said, but they both really care about the truth, though the 99 guy is a little more edgy and more edgy about it. Like, he almost comes off as he doesn't even care about the client, he just wants to find the truth. Well, this guy's a lot more emotional, he gets teary-eyed a lot, and his motivations are pretty good. So it is episodic, but like most it has, like, it all comes down to like one big case, though this one it builds up way more than I feel like some of the other ones. Also, I feel like a difference is most law shows have usually an antagonistic party who are usually like super eccentric. Like, every single one I've watched had one. And or like, maybe not, and I mean, they are kind of antagonistic, but they're mainly like rival parties that screw around with the main guys. This one was different though. It did have the rival party, but they didn't even feel like bad guys. They just felt like they had a difference in opinion in how the law should work. And I'm not saying this is better than 99, but in the point of bringing to light the corruption and how the flaws in the Japanese, at least criminal law section, it does it really well. It's honestly like almost disgusting at some of the stuff that happens in the show. Like, obviously it's a show, so I'm not sure any of the things happen, though some of them might have, but like episode like 8 to 10 is just horrible. It just makes you feel bad at how much it is. So in terms of identity, the show is more, again, they solve the false charges, but in 99, like every single episode they would always find the culprit and then use that as the main argument, because I guess that is technically probably the best piece of evidence. It's like, oh, my client is innocent because we actually found the real culprit. Well, in this one it's a little cool because sometimes they just don't, or there's like a couple of cases that there's no culprit, it's just a natural phenomenon, and it again exposes light to the police investigation because they just wanted to have a culprit for, I don't know, bonus points for catching criminals. But that was cool. And there's a really good line. I mean, they do catch culprits too, but there's a really good line where there's like, where they solved it, they proved someone was innocent, and the prosecutor was like, okay, then who's the culprit? Then he's like, I don't know, our client's innocent, it's your guys' job to figure that out. And that was a really cool clap back. Obviously it goes against the press again, always judging the press, which is fine, honestly. That's again still one of my most triggering things, bad press people, bad articles and stuff. It's interesting too because we actually have a character from the press, so having that dynamic, like a main cast member involved in the press, so that was pretty cool. But I think one of the bigger things also that kind of separates the show from the other ones is there's a lot of science in the show. So like in every episode, or at least every arc, every episode except for like the final two, which are connected, the main cast relies on this scientist to do an experiment, which adds to like a really good piece of evidence to clear the client's name. And it's really cool. Like, it's not just some weird shoddy experiment. Like, they actually like show diagrams, show how it works, and it's like a proper scientific explanation. Now, I'm personally not really a science guy. I don't know much. I knew like one thing from the explanation, explaining like the riptide effect, but I didn't know, and it was really interesting for me. So I'm sure if you liked science, those little explanations were very might be very entertaining. And I guess the main character too doesn't have this like aura of super lawyer like Lido V had and 99 had and Lido High had. S Good Partner also didn't have that, but he seems like a normal guy who's just very motivated because he does have very strong motivations to fight against false charges, and he used to be a science student, so it actually made sense him working with the other scientists, so that's cool. All in all, pretty great series. It has its comedic parts, it has its dramatic parts, everything you need. And again, I like how it kind of breaks the mold of just going after like prioritizing proving the person's innocence without actually having to go all detective and find out who actually committed the crime. And again, I think I probably like it similar to 99, but just for different reasons, because it's a completely different vibe. But I think this is definitely the more superior one. When, again, it's not exploiting, but shining a light on some of the flaws with the police, the prosecutors, and the judges. Because there are some very, very shocking, almost unbelievable things that happen. And I think it does a very good job at that. All of them do. All of them show scummy prosecutors and policemen really pushing a victim or pushing a murder suspect and stuff. But this actually takes the cake. So I would wholeheartedly recommend this. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. A very, very good look on that. Good critique on it. Yeah, good stuff. And for our final drama, we have The House on the Slope, or Saka no Tochu no Le. Maybe. No, but this was absolutely fantastic. I really love this. It was a mini series, so it's only like, I think it was 6 episodes. But it was so much. It was really an interesting watch. I was gonna say fun, but it wasn't really fun watching this. So the basic premise is a mother with a 3-year-old daughter gets selected as a lay judge, which is basically the jury system in Japan. It's a little different, but again, they get a pool of people. They have a lottery. And they basically become the jury, where, except in Japan, they like sit next to the 3 judges. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't exactly know how it works, but from my eyes anyways, it looks like they are basically jury members. And she basically gets put on to jury duty for a criminal case where a mother drowned her 8-month-old baby. And basically this show's about parenthood, I want to say, and relationships, and yeah, it basically, like, obviously it focuses on the main girl, but it shows a couple of the lay judges' families, usually with children, and how the difficulties of raising a child and the differences between the families and all these different kind of problems between them. And it's just a great show. It's very mature. Like, it's not very melodramatic at all, and there's no comedy. It's just a pure drama, which is interesting because I usually don't see that too much. It honestly feels like a show, because I'll be honest, when I rate J-dramas, I give them high marks, but they're kind of on its own scale. like how I do it with horror movies. I usually like when I give a horror movie like a 8 out of 10. Like in comparison to some other 8 out of 10 movies, they might not stack up together because you kind of rate them in their own thing. That's what I've been doing with J-drama. So like a good example is like Law Invitation. I give it a 9 out of 10, and I love the show. It is a great drama, but I don't. It's hard to I don't know if I could just recommend it to people who haven't seen J-dramas because of how melodramatic, how J-drama-y it feels. But this feels like a really interesting show that you could recommend to anyone, focusing again on some of the in general, I guess, societal issues and raising a child. Like, how prepared are you? Like, should you have a child? The difficulties, the positives. It is like specifically on Japanese culture, because again, they're more traditional. Obviously they're not the most traditional country in the planet, but they're definitely leaning more on the traditional side, so that it raises a lot of different problems. And it's great. I like to describe it as very stressful, especially for the main person. I was stressed out whenever she was on the screen. It's just all this dumb stuff. Almost, it's not dumb, like I can understand it, but it was just hard to watch. I was like praying that something goes her way. And even the husband, who I'm sure most people think is an asshole, and he is an asshole, but you can clearly see that it is like his personality is literally a combination between his two parents. So and which is another example of raising children. It's just very intricate. It is based on a novel, so that might be why it's so laid out. But it was just fantastic to watch. Lots of actors. I didn't really go through all of them, but the main actress, Ko Shibasaki, playing Risako Yamazaki, she is the Go Girl. Well, maybe you don't know what that is, but no, she's a pretty famous actress. I know her from Go, from the 2001 movie, which is one of my dad's favorites. I liked it. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but it's a very good movie if you're ever interested in racial discrimination in Japan, specifically South Koreans during that time, back then. I don't exactly know the time date, but yeah, she was the main girl. She was pretty good in that. Very good performance. Again, I really felt her character. I can see why people like her a lot. She was also in Face, apparently. Wait, no, that's not the right Face. Not the movie I talked about last, SIW. But yeah, cast felt very, very, very good. And again, the main characters, the main family was very stressful, but there's like 3 or 4 side families you get to watch, and they were also pretty hard to watch, some of them. So yeah, it goes over the parental values and stuff. Also, again, lots of feminist stuff, but I think I think it's more parental stuff, in my opinion. It's just that females have probably a harder time for some of these issues than men in Japanese culture, which combines the two. But I feel like, at least reading some reviews, I feel like people go over that and just talk about a more specific thing, when I think it's more generally the parental values, and how parents with traditional values can affect their children, how maybe it isn't a good idea to give birth if you're not ready for a child, not financially ready, or how there's a lot of pressure from a big problem through multiple of the families was the idea of the wife working, when a lot of the husbands wanted them to be a housewife, stuff like that. It was just very, very well done, and I really enjoyed it. So I would give this a 9 out of 10. It's fantastic. Even if you don't watch J-dramas, I feel like this is, maybe it's not a good start because it's kind of, again, it's kind of different from most J-dramas where you don't really have that melodramatic flair. But it's definitely worth a watch if you are interested in anything I said, obviously. And I guess it comes, like, if you are super into J-dramas, the fact that it doesn't have that melodramatic flair might turn you off. But at least in I don't know how well it did in for the Japanese audience, but it was very popular for the foreign audience, at least from what I've seen. So yeah, great show. So to wrap it up, obviously The House on the Slope was my favorite, but I think this was a very high quality SIW. I think Siren was a very fun police drama. I usually don't watch a lot of police dramas, but again, I thought the villain was very cool. I enjoyed the main character. I'm considering watching there's like 4 novel adaptations of this one police girl story, and I don't know what it's about. They're all like miniseries, but it's starring the main female lead of Siren, so I was considering diving into that, and that would be its own SIW since there's four seasons, or 4 series, because it's 4 different novels. But yeah, I enjoyed all the performances, thought the motivations of the killer was pretty cool. Good stuff. I'm trying to remember everything I've watched, which is no. Yeah, Good Partner got cancelled. The Golden Piggy was good. I think that was probably the weakest one, but again, it was a classic episodic fun thing with an interesting job. Again, there's probably not many or at all other dramas about the audit board, so it's interesting to learn a bit about a government position in Japan. And while I think it dragged on a little bit near the end, it was fine. No, it was good. Really liked the main actress. She was very convincing. Innocence, yes, Innocence was also very good. Sorry, again, there is a time gap between them, though a couple days, so it's just my mind. Fun lawyer stuff, really good critique on the judicial system, probably the best one, at least compared to 99, which was also good. I don't want to bang on it. With some fun science experiments, and again, House on the Slope for pure drama about parenthood, motherhood, fatherhood, whatever. Good stuff. Yeah. So thank you for watching as always. SIWs are always on Sundays, so make sure to tune in for that. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did and you haven't subscribed, I appreciate subscriptions. Or if you want to just like the video, it also makes me happy. But as always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you listening to me ramble on about shows or movies I've watched, because it feels good to talk about them. Yeah. But yeah, bye for now. Also, I totally forgot to say this for House on the Slope. I know it's kind of abrupt, but I forgot to talk about the music. No intro, so it's actually not. It doesn't have the cool intro I usually like, but I'll give it a pass because it is. Again, I said it's not like normal J-dramas, so I mean, a cool intro probably wouldn't even fit with it. But its soundtrack was alright, nothing too special, no banger at the end, which again probably doesn't need, but I need to mention the soundtrack every time. It's important to me. And I totally forgot. I did have it. I do want to say one of my criticisms of House on the Slope. Yes, House on the Slope is some of the editing's a little wacky. Um, Again, it's some stylistic choices, but it's not very. It doesn't mesh that well for me. Um, Especially there's this one scene I think near the latter half, maybe episode 4 or 5. That's actually like me. It feels like a meme edit. It was that bad, but I don't think it bogs down the show too much. It's not too distracting, but again, a little funky. But just give me a little jab in there instead of just praising it completely. Yeah.